Oh, we're live. So I'm going to give just a couple of minutes here for people to come in. I'll try to keep it short, so if you're watching on replay, you don't have to sit through a bunch of boring stuff. Thanks for watching. If you are watching it on replay, super excited. I am prepared. I have my brewmate full of water and my Stanley full of coffee. Hello, Donna. How are you? We are going to make half square triangles today. So once we get a few more people on, we'll move over behind me. I've set up a makeshift cutting table and got all my marking stuff there in fabric, and we'll set up half square triangles, and then we'll sew, and then we'll cut them and trim them and do all that fun stuff. In the meantime, I have a whole box of 2-inch squares that need to be sewn as well. So I'm going just to keep working on those while we bring people on. People get logged in. I'm making a postage stamp quilt, and I thought, oh, this will go quick, because I cut, you know, a ton of squares up using my Quilt, and then I have just been adding to it, and I just use it as a leader ender most of the time. So I'm only sewing, you know, a couple of twosies at a time, you know, as I'm sewing. I'm on year 2, I think, of this project that was supposed to take, well, I thought a couple of months. And these are just scraps that I cut up. I love my Quilt for breaking down scraps, turning things into, you know, usable pre-cuts. And that's actually what we're going to turn into half square triangles, is a pack of 5-inch squares. I totally forgot what size they were. Woo! 5-inch squares into some half square triangles. Because half square triangles are so versatile. You can do anything with them. I'm just sewing these twosies up while a few more people come in. Feel free to comment down below. Just say hi. Don't make me talk to myself, because what will happen is I'll start sewing and I will completely not talk if I don't have anything coming up on my screen. So say hi, ask questions. The half square triangle thing was something requested in email, so I wanted to make sure I give enough time for the person who asked that to get on. And of course, do I remember who that was? No. And I didn't go look it up. But I'll start at 8:05 with the half square triangles. We'll move here in just a minute. Okay, I have a question for you as I'm pairing 2 batiks together. Are you one of the people who there is no right and wrong side to a batik, or can you see a right side and a wrong side? All right, I'm gonna pop you out of this tripod. You can see what I listen to. I guess not. It's on commercial. Normally, that's on freebie. There's it is Heart of Dixie. All right, so I have my pack of 5-inch squares that I made myself. You know, it's super fancy here. It was some ribbon that I had and some painter's tape. And we're going to open this up and set up some half square triangles. So I'm going to show you 3 ways of doing half square triangles, and then we'll sew them and then we'll trim them. So my first way, and I have a variety of marking tools. I'm trying to figure out where the camera is. So sometimes I'll just use a pen. I typically do that on half square triangles because I'm going to cut on the line, and so it doesn't really matter. I have my Bowen marking pencil. That's chalk. I have a Crayola washable marker. And then I have a Micron marker. So I only use my pens, and I come in a variety of the Inkjoy pens. This is just, I have 4 colors within hand reach. So I really, really do like this pen. I use those or the Micron when I'm marking on the back of fabric. I use the Bowen or the Crayola when I'm marking on the front because they both wash out. So the first way we're going to mark, is down the diagonal. Just a simple line down the middle. So I'm going to pair it with another square and sit it to the side. And the other way we can mark half square triangles is with this, and we can use this 2 different ways. Now, we can put it down and line it up. There's a little notch up here that I can line up with my corner. And we can mark on either side of it. Okay, and those are going to be our sew lines, where before that was our cut line. And you can also use that same tool and nope, you have to turn it over. Jeez Louise, you'd think this is my first day doing this. And you can mark down the middle with it. And that, again, that will be our cut line. Let me get that paired up. So those are 3 ways that we can mark, and then we're going to head back over to the sewing machine, and I'll show you the way that I normally do it. So trying to get the camera. Oh. Merritt decided he wanted to make his camera debut. All right, there we go. I have a tape here with lines on it, and I use that for sort of triangles. All right, so I'm going to turn my iron back on. I don't know if you heard that beep. And we'll talk about this too. Hi, Elias. And this is Paul's cat, Elias. Named after Elias Howe. We knocked fabric off. The orange cat, if you heard me say Merritt, is named after my sewing machine, the singer Merritt. Glad that I put these in somewhat of a logical color scheme. I haven't had to like flip through the fabric yet. I was going to bring some of my favorite tools. Oh, I have two of the same color. Down that I used to work on sewing machines, and so I'd pulled this one out because I wasn't sure what it was, and I'm like, hey, what is this? So that I can tell people, hey, you need to get one if you're going to work on a vintage sewing machine. And it's something that my husband pops out of equipment, and it's trash. It's not a real piece of equipment, real tool. So I have my chain. We've sewn on one side. I'll show you real quick as I get them clipped apart. This used to be my job when I was a kid. My mom would chain piece, I think, bobbins worth during the day and then have me clip them in the evenings. Pretty good stack of getting further along on my so here is where I drew down the middle, and I'm just 1/4 of an inch off to the side, and this is where I drew my stitch line, so I just sewed down that stitch or that line. So this is the one that I did with the tool, and I only drew like a dash line. And then here is the solid. And this is the one that I used just doing my tape. So when I do that, I line the tips of the square up on the outside, because that middle line, when you looked at the tape, and I hope you got to see it. If not, we'll make some tape. I put tape over there. I'll show you how I do it. is 1/4 of an inch from the middle line. The middle line is my needle. So, gonna turn this around. Ooh, I got fast enough that I moved the camera. Oh, I do have a lead foot when sewing. Okay, I had to stop and think. I don't typically use the draw on, you know, draw the 2 lines, draw your sew lines. Susan, we're doing half square triangles is all we're doing. I had someone ask an email how to square them up, so we're gonna make some, and then we'll head back over to the cutting table and I'll show you how to square it up. I'll show you how to make the tape that I have. I tried to show you earlier with the camera, but it was hard to figure out where to put my cell phone so you could see. So we're just making half square triangles. Nothing too exciting, just sewing together. And I've gotten to the point where I don't do a real long chain because I am really bad about knowing or checking how much bobbin I have. And I do not own a single sewing machine that has a bobbin warning. Definitely not 1950s necky that I'm sewing on tonight. And this is my normal sewing machine. My newer baby lock that I've shown, it is currently on a cutie frame with a quilt in it that I hope to get finished up soon, so I can release that pattern. And then I am going to start filming a quilt along. And that's what these were supposed to be. They were supposed to be just a live Q&A that I could answer questions from the episode of the quilt along. But I have had to wait to get internet that was fast enough to upload a video more than a couple of minutes long. And I finally got that. When you live out in the middle of nowhere, sometimes it can be hard to get fast enough speed, but I have blazing fast right now, so I get to do things like this. I'm super excited. So I have a coffee cup that I put my coffee in, because I prefer to drink out of a coffee cup, but then I get to doing stuff and my coffee's cold. Anyone else have that problem? And if you couldn't tell what my favorite color is, Just trying to make sure that I have variety. Probably, so this week I'm on Facebook, next week I'll be on TikTok, the following week I'll be on Instagram, but that week I will go live a half an hour later. I have to do something with my real job, so. Or my 9 to 5. So I'll be late. And we'll work through this little half square triangle project. If you do have questions that you ever want me to answer or something you want me to demo, go ahead and email me, melissa@quiltingroomwithmel.com. I'm happy to put together a demo like this where we're just making half square triangles and then we'll trim them up. You know, I'm happy to help with a sewing machine. The thing with sewing machines, I don't have everyone. I know. You would think I do, but I have the most common, except I don't have a featherweight. But I do have a 301. Anyone know where these came from? Because while they're pretty, they are not something that I would have bought. Or at least I don't think. I keep swearing I'm gonna buy myself the little blade saver thing. You know, you put your old rotary cutter in and you just pop them. But I just use these. These are old. I mean, how do I like my quilting frame? I'm torn. It's great. It's a great space saver. And it does the job. It is, you have to do a lot of work with it because it doesn't have very much room. Like I can only do, if you've seen my no Y-seam star that's like 18-inch blocks, I can do a block at a time and then I have to rehoop it, which is time consuming. On the flip side of that, it is so much better for me to be on a frame than sitting down and doing my free motion quilting. My mom had a long arm while I was growing up, so I learned how to quilt on a long arm. So my brain understands this. My brain does not get this very well. So in that sense, I absolutely love it. But I want to upgrade. I want a full-size frame. The kicker with that, I need a long arm quilting machine, and then we're talking a good chunk of money. So for now, I suck it up with the best option that fits in my budget. You know, and I know full well you can make a good living with a long arm and doing quilting for other people. I don't think I want to do that. So that means it's not going to pay for itself like other people. You know, they can say, hey, it's going to pay for itself. Mine wouldn't. Mine would just be for me. I did a smaller quilt on it at Christmas time. If you followed and saw when I was in the all Iowa quilt shop hop, that quilt I did on it too. It was a lot easier, but it was a lot smaller, so easier to do. If you were doing mainly crib quilts and throws, it would be perfect. And now I have the Cutie one. They have another Cutie. I think it's called the Cutie Breeze out now. I have not used it. The handles are set up a little differently. But from what I can tell, they function the same way. I have on that my Baby Lock Jazz 2 that has a 12-inch throat. And I am on the struggle bus tonight, guys. Jeez, I'm having a hard time with my words. Having a hard time talking and focusing on some of these half square triangles are gonna be a little no, so I have my Baby Lock Jazz 2 on it. Now there are people who have talked about it. It loses its tension. I have not ran into that. The only time I've had problems on that machine with the tension is I changed, from Arfil to a different thread that was thicker, and I didn't check my tension before I started. So that was a fun afternoon. Quilt for 15 minutes and rip out for an hour. Even tagged in Paul to rip out. That's how intense it was. And I have to admit, Jack and I are not friends. Even though this is gorgeous. I'll show you this. Yeah, minus my hair. This is a hand carved seam ripper. It's got the big one and the little one. Paul got that for me for my birthday a few years ago. He thought it would be pretty in my pictures and my video. I don't like to use it. I even have a meme that I made. I'll have to find it. It's somewhere on a folder, I'm sure. That I wanted to, when we rip out in quilting, we always call it Date with Jack. And if you have enough Jack Daniels, you won't know if your seam's crooked and you don't have to rip it out. Okay, we have more new people. I have a question. Batiks like this. Can you see a right side and a wrong side? I cannot. Paul swears up and down he can. Now that one, I know sort of where it came from. It came from a friend of mine who at the time was doing belly dance costuming. And they were the Irie turtles. And that is an Irie turtle. And that's probably some of the last of that fabric that I have. She was super generous with her scraps because they would cut out big hunks for the pants, and then I would get those and I would cut them into 5-inch squares. You guys have seen them all over in my stuff over the years. True, Peter, that does happen, that you can feel one side. He says sometimes the wax resist gets in the way and then you have to make a choice. I have had batiks that do that, but I cannot see on the majority of batiks. I don't see a front and a back. The only other person besides my husband that I have ever heard say that they can is Rob Appel from Man Quilting. I'm gonna run a Tuesday through so I can get all my half square triangles out. This is working out perfect. We are almost done with our half square triangles, and we're about halfway through tonight. I will stay as long as you guys want to hang out, because Lord knows I've got enough sewing to do. My cutting board's over there. That's why I'm sitting, or not my cutting board. Y'all, when I said it had been a day. My ironing board's over there. I turned I made my own charm pack, my own pack of 5-inch squares. So I just sewed one pack together, so that would be, there's 21, right? And there's 42 squares in a pack. So I'll have 42 half square triangles because we're making them 2 at a time. And I always generously oversize my half square triangles because I would rather waste a little bit of fabric when I'm trimming than to have them so precise that if I slip, or like tonight where I'm talking and I'm not paying such close attention, and then things are ruined and I waste fabric that way. Because that little bit of fabric is a whole lot better wasted than wasting like an entire square. Now I consider this free because these are all scraps. I used all this fabric for another project, or I was gifted. And I had a different project I was going to sew with you guys. I was only going to do a couple half square triangles, show how to trim them, and then work on another project. And I went to set it up, and I'll pull it out here in a second. And I realized I cannot do it as a kitted project. I have struggled so much with it. And when I talk about kitted projects, I'm not talking about a kit that I buy at my local shop. I'm talking about like I'll do my pattern, or I'll purchase a pattern, and I'll put everything together. So when I sit down to sew, I can just like follow along, and it says, you know, you sew from bag A to bag B. I'll make that little note on the pattern, like where I put pieces at. And this one, woo, and it's one of those funny things. It's my own. I have no one to complain to. I can't say, oh, don't buy this pattern, it's really confusing, because it's my own. All right, and we just sewed up an entire trunk pack. Let me grab that, because it's right here. Like keeping that going, so I have the zigzag and the tumbling there. I cut it with the tumbling block from Quilt, and to keep that, you know, the narrow and the wide and in the right order, I have to really focus, and I knew I couldn't do that and talk to you guys. So, I'm gonna move you over. We're gonna go cut. I apologize for any motion sickness that caused. Someday I'll have this whole setup where I can be like, okay, hit a button and we'll be over the cutting table. So I even made the backing for my 5-inch squares using my Quilt. And my iron kicked off again. Y'all, why do they kick off so quick? Actually, that one, that poor iron, has been through it. So like on these, where I sewed on, there we go. I'm just going to cut. Do I have a lot of Quilt dies? I do not. I have a 2-inch strip set. I have a 5-inch square. I have a flying geese, a tumbling block, and I have a couple of triangles. And the triangles are Melissa slept through a geometry class, and I ordered the wrong triangle, so I thought I was getting one. I think I have it. Yeah. So this is what I wanted. And this is the first one that I ordered. They're not the same. They're just a little bit different, which means they don't go together the same way. I have to keep them separate because I will still cut with the wrong one. And I have a 1/2 square triangle and a 1/4 square that came with my Quilt. And I have the big one and the baby one. I got them they were on sale together. If you are subscribed to the newsletter, anytime AccuQuilt has a great sale, I will include that in the newsletter because I love my AccuQuilt. It's not just because I'm an affiliate with them. I adore it. Oh, like here my seam's kind of wonky. It's okay. It'll be fine. They're scraps. This is a fun thing. If your quilt is not going to be entered into a quilt show, don't take it too serious. Let it be your therapy. Eek, I need a new rotary blade. And I'm also leaving it open, which you should never do. But since I am the only thing down here besides my tree frog that I don't know where he went. Did you all see that? It's the post before the live. Last night I came down to get some things together for tonight. And I looked over. I have a stack of plastic shoe boxes where I put fabric for upcoming projects together, and I put them in there with a note, you know, like, this is what you plan on doing. And there was a tree frog on my shoebox. And then tonight, just before I went live, in my geniusness of things, I poked it. You know, I just touched it because I thought it was dead, because it had not moved. And then it jumped and I screamed. Now, if you want to get real technical when you're doing this, so like if you are doing a show quilt and you want it super duper precise, line the 1/4 inch mark up on your stitch line. So like this one, where the line is, I knew I had them. We're going to bring this over too. You can just use your scissors. And these are old. You know, I have no clue how big it will be. I hadn't really, like I said, I hadn't really planned on doing this. But we're going to do a charmed square quilt together and see how big we make it. And we can look at different ways that we can put the triangles together. And they are really super duper versatile. So we'll do a little quilt map together. Let me run over and press one of these open real quick. So when we square up a half square triangle, I put that diagonal right on my seam line. And And let's see what we got. I mean, if I was on the money on all of them, I'd call this a 4.5. But I'm going to say I'm not, because I know I was yakking with y'all. So I'm going to trim it to 4.25. Okay, and then we turn it and we do the exact same thing. So this time though, okay, I love the Quilter Select rulers because of the stuff on the back that keeps it from sliding. But when you're trying to slide it so that you can show somebody, woo, that's a pain. So now I have the edge that I just trimmed lined up with the quarter, the 45-degree angle lined up with my middle seam. And I do that on both, you know, the bottom and the side. And then we trim on the other side and the top. These go in a pillowcase that I have, and the pillowcase, when it's full, will become a kitty bed. So we have 42 squares, and they are going to finish at 3 3/4. So 6 across, 7 down. I'm going to say, let me grab my phone and do this math. Nope, I'm going to have to do it old school because you are my calculator. Oh no! My pin died! It's not like we don't have 42 others. Alright, so without any sashing or borders or anything, there's my math. A charm pack quilt will get us 22.5 by 26.25. That's 6 blocks across and 7 blocks down. Now you can always make that bigger by adding sashing. You know, we'll play with the block layout, see what we come up with. But you can always add sashing to a quilt, and that is just the strips down the middle. You know, like between the. Hang on. We're going to talk about this. We're going to show this. Hang on, hang on. Can you guys see those blocks up there? So the sashing, it's like a strip down the middle. So that would be sashing. So you can always extend a quilt by doing that. If you find a quilt pattern you like and it doesn't have, it's not big enough, you can always add more blocks. You can add sashing to make it bigger. You can add borders. And medallion quilts have been super popular for ever and a day. because you can make one great big block in the middle of your quilt and then just add now if I had sewn, not we, like you guys had anything to do with it. If I had sewn a little more accurately, we could have got these at 4.5, which would have extended our quilt. And we're going to try something new. I got this dog ear tool from my local quilt shop, and I have not used it. It says all I need to do is place it. And line it up. I put the dots on my sewing line, and then I just line it up on the edge. We're going to do this in first. I'm going to turn it around. Huh? That's pretty cool. I like that. Well, that's really a cool way to do it. Do I have any UFOs? Oh my gosh. I have a ton because I have a horrible problem. We'll just go with problem. So I, every year, sign up for, we're going to move this back. Hang on. There we go. Every year I sign up for my quilt shop's block of the month, and I start it and I do January, and I do February, and I do March, and then I give up. I get busy. I go every month. I film the video. They do a live tutorial on Saturdays. For the block of the month, the first Saturday of every month. I film it, I pick up the pattern, and I just don't finish it. So I have four of those that are technically UFOs. Mine, I don't consider UFOs. So if it's a quilt pattern that I'm working out, I don't consider that a UFO, because usually if I put it aside, it's because something didn't work out the way I wanted it to, and I need to redo it before I give the pattern out to other people. So I don't consider that a UFO if I'm working on math or size, you know, instructions, layout, something like that. Oh, wow. It is 8:55, y'all. We did it. Almost. 5 minutes, and we're at an hour. I'm not going to move the phone back. I am going to grab my chair and sit down. Because this is a horrible angle. Okay, get myself situated. One of these, you know, I'll get this figured out, right? All right, guys, I cannot thank you enough for joining me. I was so afraid that I would be sitting here by myself, talking to my frog. My frog. We have a toad in the basement. Have I ever told you a story about the toad? So years ago, I did laundry. Was taking laundry out of the washer, and this toad like jumped up and hit me. I had washed him. His name is Kenmore. I put him in a terrarium for a while, bought him crickets. I don't think my girlfriends have ever forgiven me for that. We had a girls' night out, and I was like, hey, I need to stop at PetSmart and buy crickets. But he lives down here. He does a great job of eating the bugs. My studio's in a basement, if you can't tell, with kitchen cabinets. So I bought those kitchen cabinets from my math teacher. Don't tell him I didn't pay attention in geometry and I bought the wrong Quilt die because of that. He'll want more money for his cabinets. No, I bought them. They were redoing their kitchen, so I bought these and I cleaned them up and painted them, and they're awesome. Any more questions as we wrap this up? I'm not going to get into cutting more half square triangles. We don't have time. But I am thrilled to answer any questions that you have, or dig out something real quick that I can show you if I can. Oh my gosh, I just realized over here, we were talking about, can you tell what my favorite color is? So my shirt, my fingernails, my coffee cup, and my little deal that puts out smelly, I can't think of what they're called. Oh, are all the same color. And my second favorite is my Brewmate. So, you know, they match. And if you haven't noticed, that's actually the colors in my logo even. Well, thank you, Karen, for joining. I really appreciate it. You have a great night, too. All right? All right, guys, I'm going to go. Thank you again for hanging out with me tonight. And next week, I'll be on TikTok Live.